Thanks to the support as a channel member, Ian White. Well, we've done our big rebuild. I got my new contract and the media think we're going to win the league. So I guess we need to start the season with a couple of wins, don't we? Or we might have that whole job being under threat nonsense coming up again. Hello and welcome to part 11 of Non-League to Legend. I'm Kevin. Coming up on today's episode, we have our first two games of Season 2 of The Save. We're away against Blyth Spartans and at home against last year's starting club, Tamworth. I don't know if they're going to have any players we recognise left in there. You get a lot of turnover at the end of Season 1 in these saves, and we should know because we also had a lot of turnover. As you can see, lots of players in, lots of players out, and a very new look team. The only survivors in the starting 11, in fact, one survivor, Romeo Beckham, is the one who was in the team last year. We do still have Connor Hall at the club, but he's injured, and Cade Craig is back, but not in the starting 11. So yeah, it is a very, very new look team. It's going to take a little while to get any kind of team cohesion going. So don't expect us to start by winning every game straight away. But the media certainly think we're going to win a lot of our games fairly quickly. The board will just be happy with a top half finish again. Realistically, I think I'm looking for the playoffs. We'll probably have a slow start because of that complete lack of team cohesion. Because not only is it a load of new players, it's a completely new tactic as well. New shape, new tactical style. Fingers crossed we win. That would be nice. How good are Blyth Spartans? Blyth Spartans are not near the bottom. Are they? Where are they? Do they exist? Blyth Spartans. There they are. So they were promoted from down there, down in the non-playables. We really should win this, shouldn't we? So this is the team. New boy Jamal Blackman in goal, all 6'6" of him. Proper goalkeeper. And then a back four of Murray, Tozer, Davis and Banks. If you want to meet these guys properly, they were all introduced in the last episode. Gibbard at the base of the midfield, Devaney and Knight ahead of him, then Cabia on the left, Beckham on the right, and the youngster Reese Evans, who's joined us on loan for the first half of the season. He's going to start up front in the absence of Hall. So let's get this team submitted and fingers crossed, start as we mean to go on. We want a win. We want a big performance from Blackman in goal. I think it's going to be quite the difference maker for us to have a proper, not just a proper goalkeeper, but a full-sized proper goalkeeper. Hopefully he can be a real benefit, a real threat for us as a goalkeeper, a real difference maker. If Beckham can pick up the kind of form that he had when he first arrived last year, and we can get some players scoring goals around him, it's all going to be good. And talking of players scoring goals around him, Joe Knight took 80 seconds playing for Brackley before he has his first goal for the club. That is quite the way to introduce yourself. That might even have been his first touch in a Brackley shirt because it's just poked through to him. He has literally hit that first time. I don't know that he's ever touched the ball before. He has a 100% goal scoring record from touches of the ball in professional football. So I don't think he played any games. I think he was at Brighton previously. I don't think he played a minute for them. So every time he's touched the ball as a professional, he's scored so far. Can he keep the record going? Banks to Devaney, who's dropped into that little pocket. There's a touch from Knight where he didn't score. He's now only scored from 2 of his 3 touches as a professional. I mean, that's a boy who's declining quickly, clearly. But 7 minutes in, we're 2-0 up. And I mean, I don't want to declare we've got a new superstar. We might have a new superstar, though. Joe Knight, 2 goals on his debut, bursting out of midfield. They don't know how to pick him up. He's playing in that attacking Mezzala role that can be so effective, and we've seen it be massively effective early on there. You have Devaney next to him, who's almost tucking in behind him, and then Beckham causing all kinds of problems on the right as well, causing a distraction. And Knight's just got space to run into. You see him again there. He is just got all the space in the world. They're not picking him up at all. He's just there, unmarked again. He looks like a big boy as well. How big is Joe Knight? He's 6'1". I mean, what a debut. We've got a superstar. 50 goals for him this year, presumably. We're only 12 minutes in still. And this new system, you wouldn't think we had no team cohesion. We're playing really quite well. But again, I guess you have to take it with a pinch of salt. Blythe were playing down in the non-playables last year. And both goals have come from using a player in a role where the opposition just aren't picking him up. So we don't know how good we're going to be at the fundamentals, things like this, defending set pieces, defending in general, which is something we found very challenging last year. I'd quite like it to be not quite so challenging this year if that could be arranged, but I don't want to take too much of the shine off of this. It has been a very good start, and that new central midfield pairing of Knight and Devaney for sure are looking very, very good. I think that is Knight on the ball again. Is it Knight? No, it's Beckham. Of course it's Beckham. It's a free kick. Beckham lays it off to Cabia. There is Knight, and there's his hat-trick. 25 minutes into his debut. Oh, it's been disallowed. Oh, that would have been lovely. A 25-minute debut hat-trick as a professional footballer would be quite the thing. I mean, there's still every chance he is going to grab another one today because he's everywhere. Beckham shooting from edge. I mean, if he'd have scored that takes all of Knight's headlines away, because if you have Beckham scoring a wonder free kick, I feel like that makes the back page of the non-league paper. Banks nods it down to Gibbard. Gibbard to Devaney. Look how much deeper Devaney is compared to Knight. They're playing next to each other. They're so far apart. And now Evans has dropped deep. Knight has run forward, completely unmarked again. And there is Joe Knight's hat-trick. There's no taking that one off of him. I mean, it's inexplicable how well he's playing. What a debut. And he suits this role absolutely brilliantly. Look at that run. They just don't track him. And he's entirely unmarked. The centre-backs aren't picking him up because they're worrying about Evans and Beckham. The centre-mids aren't going with him because they've got Devaney and Gibbard sat there. We're outnumbering them in midfield, and the man they're not picking up at all is the man who's got a hat-trick. They've got to change something because he's absolutely ruining them. Beckham goes round his full-back with ease. I don't remember his dad doing that very often. And there's Knight again in midfield. Gibbard picks up the scraps, and Cabia's now got all of the space. Cabia shoots, and it's a debut goal for Cabia as well. It's 4-0 before half-time. It's a whole new world, boys and girls. We've assembled a non-league wonder team. Look at this. I'm going to try not to get too far ahead of myself. Our next game against Tamworth, that's a team who were playing in the National League last year, so 2 divisions above Blyth. So, I mean, that's probably going to be more of a reality check, but certainly I think we've learnt today we shouldn't be struggling the way we were at times last year. We are going to be there or thereabouts come the end of the season. You would like to think 4-0 at half time. Let's just have a little bit of Joe Knight appreciation. What a debut. What a debut. Give that boy a contract extension already. Because if he plays like this every week, we're not going to be able to keep him, but we need to be able to cash in on him. He's only in on a 1-year deal, like all of these youngsters. Right, Beckham just gets the ball directly from the goal kick. It's poor distribution. Beckham floats it over. Evans is there. Evans has been very quiet because he hasn't needed to be anything but. Who needs a striker? Everything's coming out of midfield. And then the shot from Cabia goes wide. But, I mean, I'm running out of superlatives for these boys. Let's drop some praise. It's not often I drop praise, but we're absolutely dominant. And Beckham, who was our standout best player last year, has got the lowest rating of anybody in the attack or the midfield. So again, I think that demonstrates just the quality of these players that we've brought in. Every single one of them better than every single guy who was here before, because Beckham was better than them. And it does make you wonder, we've played as well as we have, with Evans stretching the defence, playing in that advanced forward role. Is there a route back into this team for Connor Hall, who is very much a not particularly mobile target man, who definitely doesn't fit into this system? He's going to have to force himself into it or accept that he's going to be more of a bit part player this year. Right, Banks is tiring, so he can come off, and club captain Mark Little can come on. We're going to take off Beckham as well, who's had a quiet match. Bramall can come on for him. Bramall's natural on both sides, so gives him... I mean, he's first backup for both of our wingers, so we don't need loads of players who can play in those roles, because we've got Cabia and Bramall, who are both natural on both wings, which is very handy. And Blackman has been beaten for the first time, and I've not actually seen him make a save yet. I'm not going to worry too much about him. He's 6'6". That in itself is enough for me to give him more time than I gave Maxted last year, because he's just such a big boy. But being a big boy, it took him a while to get down to that one, didn't it? We're not going to worry. We're not worrying just yet. We're 4-1 up. It's all going well. If Blythe score again, then we'll start to worry, because it means we still can't defend. And we are just going to have to massively outscore everybody every week, which we might not always be able to do when we're not playing against teams who were from the division below last year, and they should have had another one. That's an absolute sitter. It was easier to score than miss, to use a lovely old cliche. And actually, if we look at XG, they've out XG'd us, which is alarming as well. Cabia aiming for the far post. We've won a penalty kick. I don't quite know what for. Davies was pushed by Mitchell, it says. I didn't see it actually happen, but it's going to be Tozer to take, which is an interesting choice of penalty taker, but he scores. It's 5-1, and Tozer, another one with a debut goal. It's 3 guys with debut goals. I mean, when you've got 10 players making debut, I guess you are going to get a few debut goals. Otherwise, it's going to be a very sad day. Davies is now tired. He can come off. We should have Craig on the bench. Oh, it's Craig. The guy who was here last year. We need to be able to bring him on. We'll bring on McGinn because Murray can play centre-back, although he shouldn't because he's little. But he can play there for the final 10 minutes of the game, and it should be fine. Gives McGinn a little bit of a run out, who, like I was saying in the transfer special, McGinn was great when he came in last year. It's a little bit harsh that he's been replaced, but we've moved on as a team. Look at the score. When did we do this to anybody last year? Spoilers, never. We never did this to anybody last year. This is glorious. 5-1. Now let's go and do the same thing to Tamworth and prove that wasn't a fluke. Right, with it only being 2 days since the last game and nobody being match fit yet, we are making quite a few changes for this one as we experiment with different combinations of players and try and keep everybody fit and not breaking anybody. So still going to be Blackman in goal, but the back four, Murray. Craig comes in to start alongside Davies with Tozer dropping down to the bench. Banks stays in at right back. Ewing comes in for his first start at defensive midfield. And then we've got Curley and Morehouse ahead of him. So complete change in the midfield to see how these guys look in there. Then Bramall comes into the team on the left-hand side. Cabia moves over to the right. That's the opposite of how they ended the last game. Evans stays in up front because we don't really have another option other than Kenny Coker, and Kenny Coker isn't very good. Knight is going to be on the bench with Tozer and Beckham, so we've got some of the big guns to come on if the rotation doesn't work, but nobody's match fit. We didn't play loads and loads of games in the summer, and we don't want to risk anybody getting injured. We've got a lot of young players and a lot of players of very similar ability levels, so theoretically we can do a lot of rotation this season, especially in situations like this where we're playing twice in 3 days. We don't need to be risking breaking our young boys because we don't want to break, or our old men like Tozer. So we've got a big squad. We need to keep everybody happy. Cabia with the free kick, looking for Ewing, can't find him. And now there is the counter-attack on here, but luckily Curley is there. I say luckily, I mean, he'd been left back deliberately. It wasn't particularly lucky. Craig plays it to Murray. And now Murray into Bramall. So first start for him. He plays it across to Evans. And Rhys Evans has his first goal in a Brackley shirt. And it's a good assist from Bramall on the left-hand side. I think we've got 3 very equivalent quality wingers where it's just going to be 2 from 3 each match. And based on how the first 1 match 10 minutes has gone, Beckham is going to have a little bit of time on the bench, I think, because Cabia was good in the last game. Bramall has already picked up an assist in this one, and Beckham did struggle a little bit, so he's going to have to earn his spot just like everybody else. The fact that Knight can get a hat-trick and then start the next game on the bench, that shows how things have changed here at Brackley. We've got probably 18 really good first team quality players, and I want to keep them all happy. I want to keep them all at the club. Right, Murray on the left-hand side, dancing. I mean, he's a complete wing-back, dancing past the Tamworth defenders. Remember, this Tamworth team were playing in the National League last year. They have got my boy Nathan Chakuna in the team as well, who we loved very much on last year's non-league legend. I didn't notice how many other recognisable names there were, but we've won a penalty here. So who's going to take this? Morehouse, a chance for a debut goal for him. I mean, that's not going to endear him to the fans the way Knight endeared himself, is it? They're playing in the same role. That's different to doing a hat-trick, missing a penalty. Right, cross comes in from the corner, looking for the near post. Comes to Morehouse. Now Bramall on the edge of the area with the shot. It's blocked and he's cleared to Murray, who nods it back to Bramall again. Bramall's going to try and keep this move going. Bramall shoots from range and it's a little bit high and a little bit wide. And I want to pause eventually and have a look at who's in this Tamworth team, see if there's any other names we recognise. We picked out Shakuna, because he's a name I'm always going to recognise. He was our star man. But I want to see if there's anyone else in there that we remember from last year. Bramall looking very lively again, bursting into the area, forcing a save out of the Tamworth keeper, and it's another corner. And we were becoming a threat from corners towards the end of last year through Pratt. We obviously don't have Pratt anymore. But is somebody else going to step up and become that set-piece threat? Not in these first couple of corners we've seen today, it seems. Craig, on the edge of the area, gives the ball away and, I mean, gets back to make the recovery, which he needed to do because he left us in a little bit of problem because there wasn't really anybody covering him. Looking at the rest of this Tamworth team, I don't know that I reckon... Dan Creaney, I remember, and Shakuna, I remember. I don't know that I remember anybody else. Like I say, you get some player turnover at this level. And clearly Tamworth have had some. I mean, I guess it is effectively 2 years since we managed them in Game World times because we had the updated database at the start of this season. So even though it's only a year, it's kind of 2 years. But still, to only have 2 players left. Well, to be fair, look at us. There's one guy in this starting 11 today who was here at the start of last season, and he's gone and come back. Being Craig, he was here on loan, spent the second half of last season back at Solihull and then returned to us. So we've had even more of a player turnover in an even shorter period of time. But we're winning, and that's the important thing. 1-0 as we head towards half-time, and Tamworth haven't really got in it at all. They've had 1 shot on target. We're probably underscoring where we should be, but Murray's going to take the throw. I don't know why he didn't go for the long throw. Have we got the long throw instruction on? We should have the long throw instruction on. I love me a long throw on FM24. We do have our long throw instruction on. I don't know why he didn't do it then. That would have been the perfect place to do a long throw. The silly bear. Right, Craig plays it forward, back to Murray. Murray into Curley. We've not seen the same kind of midfield movement from this combination as we did from the guys who started in the last game. So they're kind of getting the advantage in my brain at the moment. Cabia goes past his man, just sticks it up in the air for Bramall to head. It comes back off the post and we've got another penalty. I mean, Tamworth are just a bunch of ruffians, aren't they? Giving away all these penalties. Who's taking this one? Morehouse is stepping up again, having missed the first. He does score the second, so he does get his debut goal. 2 penalties, 1 goal. And Morehouse he's having a lovely old dance as if he's going to be starting ahead of Knight in the next game. We've already decided who our guy is in that position, I think. But Morehouse, I mean, he scored a penalty. Yes, he missed one as well. But he's shown good character by stepping up and scoring the next one. Cabia now from range. And it's been, I thought it had been pushed wide, but it's actually just sailed wide. And it remains 2-0. Look at the difference in the match stats. Look at the difference in the XG. We're a good team. We're top of the National League North. We are good at football, and it is a wonderful thing to be able to say after the way last season went. Mark Little's going to come on. We're going to bring on Joe Knight in midfield as well, and of course, he's the one who gets to go back into the Mazzala role. Morehouse is going to have to just play in the playmaker and like it, because Knight was brilliant in the last game. Let him have the opportunity to come off the bench and be brilliant again. And for my final change, we're going to take off Ewing and bring on Tozer, who can just sit there in front of the back 4 and be an extra defender for us. I thought it was another corner. Apparently not. Look at that XG. I mean, I know we've had 2 penalties, but it's still very strong XG. It suggests we're creating quite a lot. Whereas Tamworth, not creating very much at all. Only 2 shots on target in the entire match. We've not seen Blackman have to make a save. So I think it's safe to say we've had a couple of good performances there to start the season. It's almost as if when I can assemble the squad myself, I am quite good at Football Manager. I just struggle a little bit when I have a squad of players that don't really play the way I like to play. We're now playing Kev Ball. And look at us go. Right, because it is our second season at this level, we're going to move through this season a little quicker than last year, as we usually do. So we'll probably get a good 6-8 games played, get the FA Cup campaign underway as well, and be back with you somewhere around here, hopefully with us, still at the top of the table, because that has been a jolly good start to the season. Still got poor team cohesion as well. Imagine what it's going to be like when we have good team cohesion. If you enjoyed that, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos. And thank you very much for watching.